The distorted Tinder marketplace. I've come across so many videos on YouTube by men in the manosphere space, even Chris Williamson, who talk about a Tinder study which showed that 80% of the women are going after 20% of the men, and all the men are going after 80% of the women. And that unless you're a man who is 6'6", 6 feet tall, six-pack abs, six-figure income, you have no chance with women. Women aren't going to swipe on you, and therefore, if you're a man who isn't a 6'6", women won't want you. Women are just these hypergamous beings, and unless you have won the genetic lottery or looks max and done all this stuff, you have no chance with women. And you know, that is a very, very depressing storyline in theory. But hey, they say it's borne out by the data. It's borne out by the Tinder data. Well, I'm going to bust this bullshit myth because it's not true about men and women. And it's very harmful, and it would make any man feel depressed and hopeless. So I'm here to give you hope. I'm here to give you hope because I take a stand for people's relationships. I take a stand for men. I love men, and I get really hurt when I see men think that nobody wants them. At the same time, I also expect men to be like adults and be competent so that more of us will want you. So let me grab some water, let me get my coffee, and then let's get into it. I'm just kind of gonna wing this. I don't have data or stats. I'm just gonna be using some like common sense and just questioning some of the assumptions that are made about relationships based on these stats. Okay, let's remember that not only is the Tinder data maybe coming from them, I know sometimes people have made their own profiles to come up with these results, but let's remember that we do not know the Tinder algorithm. And Tinder has a number of different options that you can pay to have your profile brought in front of more people. I don't know what is the impact of that on their data. Let's also keep in mind that 70 to 80%, in some countries 90%, of the users on Tinder are men. And so you have an unequal distribution in the marketplace. In real life, I think men make up, it's around 50%. I think it's 48-52 one way or the other. In real life, men and women are half and half. But on the apps, on the Tinder app, it's 70 to 90% men. And so what happens is you become less choosy or more choosy. So for example, if you're a man swiping, you don't see that many women, so you're going to start swiping on all of them. And you're a woman swiping. I remember, I've been on Tinder. There are so many men. Oh my God, so many men. I got to weed them out on the basis of something. It's like an employer who gets a lot of resumes. They'll throw it out if the font is the wrong color. You've got to have some way of weeding out. You can't swipe on everyone. It's too much. So that's one disparity. Another disparity is, remember that men are very visual. Men are very visual, and they will swipe on any woman pretty much because they'll fuck any woman. But then they do a thing called, let's see, I took some notes here, something I came across that I've experienced. Men will do a thing called post-filtering. They do a thing called post-filtering. And I've experienced that. So they'll swipe on all these women, and thus we hear Men are not that selective because they're swiping. But as soon as they have a match, they'll go, oh, I didn't really want her, and they'll delete the match. It's called post filtering. I don't know if that is in the statistics. And since the interesting thing about men being visual is that a lot of them, if they don't have good social skills, they will be attracted to a woman based on her visuals, but they have no idea how to present themselves in what is essentially a catalog. And let's remember that the barrier to entry on Tinder is just some photos. Most of those profiles have nothing written. It's not even a real marketplace. In a real life interaction, you bring all of yourself in 3D in front of a person. On Tinder, it's just photos. And I have seen a lot of men where I'm like, you should pay me so I can help you with your photos. Because a lot of guys take such bad photos that they're automatically eliminated just based on their marketing brochure. It's a marketing brochure. And a lot of women are used to taking pictures of ourselves. We have a ton of photos of ourselves. So many. And a lot of women are good with their filters, and they have all kinds of filters to make themselves look prettier than they actually are. A lot of guys don't have photos. I once had a client years ago who was making a Tinder profile, and I said, send me your photos, I'll look at them. And he had 5 photos of his face, different angles, against a white wall. The guys that I actually hooked up with years ago when I was hooking up, that I met on Tinder, I was looking for very specific things. And I'll tell you what I was looking for. And these men who have good social skills and are relational and intelligent would have these types of photos. So don't go on Tinder if you lack social awareness and don't know how to take photos that women will like. So typically they would have like a happy look. There would typically be at least one photo of them in a suit, either at work or at a wedding. There would typically be at least one photo of them outside, like hiking or kayaking or skiing, some kind of mainly outdoor nature thing. There would typically be a photo of him and a dog in his truck, signaling, I can take care of a dog, I have a car, I have a house, I have a job, I have friends. And the photos were good quality, and they were nothing messy. So if I saw photos of a guy, they were the fish photos. They're kind of lame. Like, if there's a guy with just shorts in a boat holding up a fish, a dead fish, and he doesn't have it's just like, why are you holding up a dead fish? Like, no social awareness. You guys won't even know that a woman won't like this. Because a lot of these guys on Tinder, their problem isn't their looks, it's their lack of social awareness and lack of interaction with women and knowing what women like. So, like if all of his photos are at the beach with just shorts. I'm like, you look like you're looking for a hookup and you look homeless. Or he has photos, of himself, maybe with his friends in his house, but it's really messy. And a woman would say, I don't want to deal with this guy. He's super messy. Or some guys might have photos of themselves like drinking a lot. Like, I'm fun. I like to party. And I think, you look like an alcoholic. Are you going to be sober? But the guys I ended up meeting, and I met like almost 100 guys off of Tinder. Young guys in their 20s. They knew how to present themselves properly. That's the biggest deterrent that men don't get. I'm going to give you an example. It is said that if you're a short Asian, you might as well forget about Tinder. But I think, who is the guy, the head of Google? He's some Middle Eastern guy. He's not that attractive. And I've seen some of these Asian men, because the problem isn't that they're Asian. The problem is that they have low self-esteem, and women look for confidence. Again, I'm telling you, it's your social skills, it's your confidence. So I had this gentleman, very nice Asian guy, and he showed me his Tinder photos, and he's standing in front of the Eiffel Tower, you know, all stiff like this. And he looks socially awkward. He doesn't look attractive. Again, it's his picture. And he's an engineer. He works with things, not with people. Now, he doesn't look any different than this Sergio whatever from Google. And I imagine him looking the same way as this Asian guy. But the Google engineer is a people person, right? So I imagine him sitting in a nice Hugo Boss checkered shirt with a tie in a nice office, you know, legs spread apart like men sit, looking all confident, you know, like, hey, I got this. You know, I feel good in who I am. Just that posture, I bet that guy would get a lot of swipes. Because I would look at that guy and be like, you know, this guy likes himself. This guy's got a nice shirt on and he likes himself, and I would go for that. But see, a lot of these guys don't know this, and they're shy and they're introvert. And that's why I keep trying to help you guys. It's not your height. It's not your abs. It's not your income. It's your social skills. It's your relational skills. It's your confidence. It's your mental health. Now, again, the Tinder marketplace is skewed with so many men on there and so few women. And I think, just from my experience being on Tinder and all these different dating apps, there are a lot of men who are it's more likely that a man on these apps, especially when the barrier to entry is so low. Tinder admits they have registered sex offenders on there. They have like guys who just are very rude to women on there. There's no screening. They don't ask for your photo ID. I have to send my photo ID on the site where I advertise as a bookkeeper. It's a lot harder. When I was a stripper in San Diego years ago, I had to go down to the police station to be fingerprinted because they don't allow anyone with a felony or a record to be a stripper. But to be on Tinder, you need nothing, just some photos. Any kind of loser man or woman could go on there. So you get a lot of people on there that lack social skills. My experience working with men, a lot of men have never been on Tinder, you guys. They've never been on Tinder. And I see guys that are not the hottest guys, and they're married. They're Hispanic, they're under 5'8". They're not that fit, and they have women absolutely in love with them. And some of these women are like work out a lot and are mothers of their kids. Like, I have seen all of this. I've had a 5'3" Indian client who's married with kids. I've had, you know, it is such a myth. That's why I'm trying to tell you guys. This whole thing about Tinder is a myth because you're asking women to look at a catalog of men and like who's the best looking. But in real life, men aren't catalogs. They're real people. And the way that I assess a man in real life is a whole being, not just a picture. It's really, really hard to assess a man based on a picture. But again, I think if more men understood what kind of pictures to take, more men would meet women on there if they had better photos, better self-confidence and social awareness skills, that your photo shows that's who you are. Your photos have to show that you're confident, relational, and have good mental, physical, and emotional health. And a lot of men don't know how to portray themselves that way because it's the antisocial men that are on Tinder. It's the antisocial men that are on Tinder by and large, because in real life, the social men are getting women in real life. There are a lot of men that have never been on an online dating app, younger men, because they just meet women in real life. So Tinder is a subset of men who are uncomfortable talking with women, and so they're hiding behind a keyboard and they don't know how to present themselves or how to talk to women. That's a huge problem. Now let's talk about in real life. You might say, okay, Schahrzad, what about real life? Aren't women more picky? Yes, we are. Because even for mating, even for short-term dating strategies, men and women have very different strategies for a hookup versus a relationship. So when it comes to hookup, everyone's looking for the hottest thing they can pull. I want a guy who's a 10, you want a woman who's a 10. But guys will do one thing that women won't do. They'll be like, I'm so horny, I want a 10, I'll sell it for an 8, but I'm really horny, I'll take the 4. A woman's not going to do that. A woman's not going to do that. We are more selective. Why is that? Well, physically, I'm at greater risk from you hurting me. Physically, I'm at greater risk of getting pregnant, and there's a huge resource cost. We know we can get pregnant. I mean, we could have an abortion, but we intrinsically know deep in our heart that there's a huge cost. So we want to pick a guy. Usually a woman will have sex with a guy that she could see as a partner. But a man doesn't need to see a woman as a partner to want sex with her. His opportunity cost is very low. It's he's going to come, he's going to ejaculate, and he's good. But the woman has to make all kinds of decisions. Do I like him enough to not use a condom? What if I get pregnant? A lot of women will try to get pregnant from you so they can tie you to them. I have a lot more of a risk of being permanently tied to you. I know, even though I know we don't have to get married, but we feel that in our bones. Even me, like post-menopause, I have a greater risk of getting an STD. I have a greater risk of not enjoying the sex as much. I'm more emotional. I have a greater risk of getting attached to you. That's why we're more selective, okay? And that's reasonable. But here again, that doesn't mean that 80% of men have no chance with us. What it means is you need to have a certain set of qualities and characteristics to be attractive to women, the characteristics that portray, I can protect you. I can take care of you if you get pregnant. I'm not going to leave you when you get pregnant. I can take care of you. I'm a man who can go out and do things. I have social skills. I'm confident. I can go and work. I have social skills. I have confidence. I have people skills. I'm a sane person. I'm reliable. I'm sensual. I look for all of that. Women look for all of that. And I think that's why we're more choosy, because we scan you for all of that, whereas you guys are just looking if there's a tit. Now, men are just as picky as women, and I made a video on that called Men Are Hypergamous when it comes to relationships. When it comes to relationships, you guys are just as picky. That's why you can fuck a woman and leave, because you're like, not relationship material. You decided after the fact. Whereas a woman decides before the fact if you're relationship material. This guy's relationship material, I'll fuck him. Whereas a guy's like, she's got a vagina, I'll fuck her. And after he's done fucking her, he's like, not relationship material. But if you were to only fuck women that you had to marry first, or that you had to take home to mom first, you guys would be a lot more choosy too. So, what is the solution? The solution is for all of us to work on our physical, mental, and emotional health so we're more attractive to the opposite sex and make better partners. That's what I try to talk about in my videos. That's the only solution. Stay off the Tinder, stay off the online dating apps, and don't listen to videos that tell you that a woman has a score and you have a score and your value is 8 or your value is 2 and a woman's value is nothing after 25. Don't listen to that, because it's not true. It's not true, except to them. It's a made-up thing. They say that a woman's sexual market value declines after 25. I've talked to so many men who are still sexually attracted to their wives, who are mothers of their children, after 20 years. I still love my wife. I'm still get horny for my wife. There are women in their 50s and 60s getting married. There are women in their 60s who are high-paid escorts or bookkeepers. So it's a myth. It's a lie. And there are a lot of lies out there. Don't listen to people who try to put you down. Now, what can men do? Get off the dating apps. That's their biggest problem, is they are in an artificial marketplace, because people are not pictures. They're three-dimensional. Here's another example. I don't like my wrinkles. I look at my photos and I see my wrinkles. I'm like, oh my God, I look horrible. Oh, I love this light roast coffee. So good. But I have a friend who's a photographer, and he explained to me, Schahrzad, you're seeing yourself in the mirror and in the pictures as 2D, and in 2D everything looks different. In 3D, someone actually takes in your whole persona and takes you in 3D, and the wrinkles kind of blur out a little bit. And so that's why when he does takes pictures of me, like my pictures of me, he does a very, very light, because I don't like my wrinkles taken out. I don't want to look like a plastic plate. He does a very light blur thing. He says that's how people will see you in real life. I've had so many people come to see me, and they're like, oh my God, you're so short. I thought you were so tall. Somehow I look tall on these videos. I'm only 5'2.5". I don't know why I look so tall. It's a picture. I've tried taking pictures of the sunset. They don't come out good on the phone. It doesn't show all the 3 dimensions. The view that I have from here is so beautiful that it doesn't capture on a photo. I could have some guy that you say could never do well on Tinder come up to me, and he'll be so funny and charming and whatever, but I could look at his face and be like, if that was a face on Tinder, I don't think anyone would like him. But you're not a face. You're not a photo. You're a 3-dimensional person. And Tinder has taken that from you. Online dating apps have taken that away from you. They've taken you out and reduced you to a 2-dimensional photo. The real problem is that you're a person who needs to be on Tinder in the first place. That's the problem. That's the problem. And it's kind of like hanging out at the bar. You're not going to meet high quality people on there for the most part. So the tip is to get off Tinder, and people should just stop with the dating apps altogether. Unless they're on some kind of a dating app that has some skin in the game, where you have to say something about yourself and pay some money. Not where you can just a lot of bots are on Tinder. We don't know what stuff is on there. I tell you, the last time I was on Tinder, I ended up with 0 dates. These guys would just match with me and they wouldn't even want to meet. And I was looking for a hookup. This was a year ago. I was I think I need to look for a hookup. The guy I ended up meeting for my hookup was a guy I met on Bumble. And he was not white and tall and rich. He was actually Asian. He was American Indian. He had really great photos. He knew how to present himself. He knew how to talk to women. He had a very hot career in the military. He checked all the boxes for me. He had pictures with his dog. But he was also very social. that guy gets women in real life. He's a social person. He likes women. He's relational. That's what you have to cultivate. So get off Tinder and start meeting women in real life. Work on your social skills. That's the key. And your answer to meeting women is, if I'm uncomfortable meeting women in real life, why is that? That's the part you have to work on. Like I said, get to the gym to build your confidence and your testosterone. It'll do wonders for your outlook on life and your confidence. Because when I leave the gym, I'm so confident. I go into the coffee shop and the grocery store, and right now, I don't want to go into the coffee shop. For example, I don't have social phobias or anything, but I'm like, I kind of feel awkward going into a coffee shop. I just got to stand there. But after I leave the gym, I'm like, coffee shop. I'm badass. It just changes your whole inner feeling. That's why I'm such a proponent of it. Increases your confidence in your testosterone. Number 2, get comfortable talking to women. Wear some decent clothes. You got to get some social skills. Even if you have to work in sales. Because mating is not a sympathy event. You can't sit around and be like, oh, poor me, nobody wants me, the world is out to get me, no women will want me, it's such an unfair world, I'm just such a short guy. Grow the fuck up. Nobody wants to hear you whining, okay? There's a guy on YouTube, check him out, Healthy Gamer. He is not attractive at all. I think he's very ugly. He was a Harvard psychologist he was about to be hired by Harvard, I think, and he decided not to do it because he's very devoted to helping these young gamers overcome their social phobias and their anxiety. Like, he's a super cool guy, and he's got a wife and kids. And I've seen his wife. She comes on his podcast sometimes on YouTube. And he's got a Twitch and a Discord. I don't know what all the stuff is because I'm not a gamer. Now, you might say, of course he got a wife. He's a doctor. I know he's short, he's unattractive, he's not that fit, but he's a doctor. Well, guess what? Even after he was a doctor, he talks about in one of his videos, no women wanted him because he was this very awkward, low self-esteem, shame-filled guy. That's what you guys' problem is. You're shame-filled. That's why you're not getting women. You got to convert the shame into confidence. That is the biggest tip I'm going to give you. If you're not meeting women, it's because you're filled with shame. Either helplessness, despondency, depression, anxiety, or shame. And that is where therapy can help you. I think you guys who are struggling with this should go to Healthy Gamer. He has this online course. It's only $50. I actually signed up for it. It's so worth it. He does a lot of like mindfulness stuff, and he does a lot of stuff where people call in and he helps them. He coaches them over the phone, and you can watch him coach guys. These very shy, introverted guys who are like gamers, who have no people skills and are very shame-filled, and he helps them. I think a lot of you guys who are struggling, or if you know men who are struggling and are shame-filled and have given up, send them to Healthy Gamer. So he's a doctor, still no women want him. And then he did some inner work on himself around his inner shame and his lack of self-worth. And he started not focusing on women and focusing on his work. I think he started working out. He just started feeling better about himself. And a few months thereafter, he met his now wife. She became very attracted to him. Same height, same job. But what changed was how he felt about himself. And he didn't meet her on Tinder, and that's what I want you guys to get. I am going to link his channel in the comments and in the description, so you guys can go check him out. And if you guys follow him, and he doesn't know me, he doesn't even know I'm making this video. I get no money out of it. I'm just trying to help you guys out and find the answers to what these problems are. If more men would rise out of shame and become confident and feel better about themselves, more women would want you in real life. So a lot of people have to work on their sense of self-worth. And if you don't have good self-worth, it's not your fault. The reason you have low self-worth isn't because you're not worthy. It's because when you were little, your parents invalidated you, or criticized you, or abandoned you, or had contempt for you. A child needs to feel loved just for existing. A child needs to feel loved just for existing. That's how people develop self-worth, because their parents give it to them. Your parents give you self-worth by being present with you, attentive with you, and appreciating you just for existing, and giving you boundaries. But if they didn't do it, and unfortunately so many parents have not, you can give it to yourself as an adult with good therapy. And Healthy Gamer is like one person, Harvard-trained psychiatrist, who knows how to help people, because I think he was once shame-filled, so he knows how to help people get out of it. He has a very interesting story too. He applied to medical school 132 times or 140 times, something like that. And he kept getting turned down because in high school he had such bad grades. Nobody wanted him. But he kept trying and he kept trying and he kept trying. And he finally got in. So it's not, he didn't give up. You can't give up. You've got to keep trying. You've got to keep trying. You can't give up. I love his story because it shows tenacity. It shows, another thing he did that was really cool is he went to India. He was like, I'm just going to go to India and become a monk. And he has an interesting story. And then he decided to try for medical school again. And, he has a very interesting story. And he's not a Chad. But he looks like he's happy with his life. And he has a wife who loves him. And he has children. And he's here to help men who are struggling with the exact same thing. I'm coming at it from a mom's point of view, but I think it's good for you guys to follow men and follow healthy men. Don't follow those guys telling you that you're only an 8, 7, and you gotta have these biceps to be a 9 and this waist to hip ratio to be a 10. Like, you can listen to that for entertainment. I don't think Healthy Gamer has concerns about his waist to hip ratio. I don't know, maybe he watches workout videos, but you don't need that to get a woman. You just need to like yourself, have something going on, have some confidence, and use your testosterone to do things in the world that light you up. Just be you. And a lot of you don't know who you is because as children, the you that could have been was nipped in the bud by these piece of shit parents. Piece of shit parents. I'm so mad at these piece of shit parents. That's what we should be mad at. Not the women who are hypergamous, so to speak, but your piece of shit parents that you're protecting. That's a big thing in therapy. We got to get people to start to see that their parents' weakness, and a lot of people won't see it. They get very defensive about their parents and their perfect childhood. And as long as they defend it, they can't change because they're so attached to modeling them and being like them subconsciously. So deparentifying yourself is a first step. Like, you can love your parents and still hold them accountable for being losers and how they raised you. If you're filled with shame, if you were abandoned as a child, it was your parents' fault. Now, again, they didn't know. They were treated that way, so I kind of like to actually blame. I shouldn't say the parents were pieces of shit because, see, back then they didn't have all these YouTube channels. So I take that back. I take it back. But they harmed you. And their parents harmed them. It's a legacy of trauma passed through the generations. And 50 years ago, these shameful guys would have gotten a job in a factory and gotten married anyway and been in an unhappy relationship because a woman isn't going to be happy with a guy who's filled with shame. She's not going to be attracted to him sexually. So you've got to work on that because even if you could get a woman because she had pity on you, she's not going to want to fuck you. So what makes people attractive is their confidence. That means like I unapologetically like myself, and not from a grandiose place that I'm better than you or a shameful place I'm less than you, but I'm equal to you. I genuinely like myself, and here I am. That's the place we all have to get to, and that's why I'm so interested in being relational. How do I deal with my feelings? How do I deal with adversity? How do I deal with it when I get upset with you? You know, and those are all things that women scan for. I look for a guy that's emotionally stable, because if I tell you no, are you going to be able to just laugh it off? Like, that's fine. Are you going to get all reactive, like, what do you mean no? Or please, please, please? Or, but, you know, like, are you going to be like, are you like mentally stable? Like, that matters to me as a woman. But guys don't care because there's a breast hanging out. You guys need to start thinking here before you pull out your dick. You got to use this more, and women use this before we have sex. You use it after. You got to start using it before. And if you did, you would be a lot more picky too. But, you know, God made you that way, that when your penis is hard, this shuts down. This shuts down. And I know it does, because when I have my bookkeeping clients over here and they're excited about their bookkeeping, and I start talking or explaining something about how the books are done, they lose that because now they're thinking. So in order for guys to get hard, they can't think. It has to go off. But that's your downfall, guys. That's your downfall. Before a date, you should masturbate. Before you swipe on Tinder, before you think about a woman, you should masturbate and then decide if you want to go out with her. And just imagine, would I take this woman to meet my mother? Would I take this woman out for a coffee? Would I introduce her to my friends? And if the answer is no, don't even fuck her. And for the rest of you, check out Healthy Gamer. I'd love to know what you guys think of Healthy Gamer. I'd love to know what you guys think about helping these men who think no women will want them, what the real issue is, because a lot of you guys have a false sense of what women want physically. You think we want a triangle body, like big arms and six-pack abs. I don't want you to be that vain. I don't want to compete with you for who's prettier. And that's called a dad bod. A dad bod is just a regular guy, you know, who does some push-ups, he does some cardio, he does a little bit of weights. He might have a little bit of a belly. We're good. If you look good in a clothes, I don't care how you look without them. Just be reasonably lean. That's called a dad bod. If you're all this and at the gym, and you guys have a very distorted sense of what women want. You guys are looking at the Terminator or Rocky, which are action movies made for men, because you guys have a distorted sense of the male physique. Movies made for women have a guy like Nicolas Cage, Justin Bieber. We don't want those action hero guys. They are gross. Clark Kent is a regular looking guy. That's for the women. Then he turns into Superman. That's for the guys. That's for you. Don't try to look like Terminator. A woman is going to repulse. There's a guy that used to watch my videos, and he was, you know, kind of interested in me, and he was like a bodybuilder type, and he sent me all these photos of himself, you know, in these poses, you know, in his little jockey poses, you know. It's like, what do you think? And the first thing I looked at a guy is his face. And his face was all scrunched up, and he looked no feeling in his eyes. So I said, your eyes look really lifeless. Like, I don't see any sensuality on your face. And he was surprised. He's like, wait, but my body. I'm like, I don't give a shit about your body. I don't see any sensuality in your face. And the fact that you think that your body is all that shows me you don't understand women at all. And that's what I think is happening with a lot of these guys that make these videos of what women want. I don't want to be in a beauty. You don't want me to compete in my career with you, and I don't want you to compete for who's the prettiest. And a lot of you guys are trying to compete for who's the prettiest. If you look good in a button-down shirt, you have some shoulders, you have a reasonably flat stomach, you have some strong legs, a little bit of muscle, we're good. We're good. Okay? just remember, who are the men that women swoon over? Yeah, we might swoon over the Chippendale guy, but I wouldn't want to date him. Justin Bieber. Remember David Cassidy of the Partridge Family? I was so in awe of him. My ideal male guy would be Dave Beckham, the soccer player. He's so hot. He's got all the tattoos and the hair and the clothes. But I wouldn't want to date him because I'd be like, if I had to dress like his wife and be all on point all the time with all the manicure and the clothes, that would take so much time. I'm not into that. I would just be exhausted. I'd have to worry about him cheating all the time. Like, he's a little too hot, but I just love his slim toned frame. Some women actually like a guy who's a little bit chubby, like a teddy bear body. I have liked guys who had a teddy bear body. They were very confident, like those confident business guys. If they're that confident business guy, they don't need to have any fitness at all. They have a suit, they're very confident, and there's something about that power that's very attractive. Like, you can take care of me. I kind of like it, you know? So don't overdo it at the gym. Just do it enough so you feel good in yourself. I was going to make a 10-minute video. This was super long. I think I covered a lot of really important points. So my bottom line really is that this idea floated in the manosphere that 80% of men have no chance with women is a lie. And if you want to work on your mental health and improve your prospects, do not listen to those people. Because I got sucked into that for a year and I started believing all that stuff and I started feeling really bad about myself. Like, no man will ever want me. I'm way too old. If I am hypergamous, as they say, what are my odds? You know, and it's just bullshit. And then men get into these numbers, looks maxing and 1 point for this and men is 2 points for that. I'm like, you're all in your head. Get into your body. You know, get off your freaking phone. Get into your body. It's just nitpicking around the edges, you know. That's like me saying no man will ever want me because I'm 60. No man will ever want me because I have wrinkles, you know. But in reality, people do want me. A lot of us would do well to do some cognitive behavioral therapy, which is questioning your thoughts and looking for evidence that they're not true. So, no women will ever want you. Is that true? Have you seen, look for evidence that women do like men who are only 5'4". Look for evidence. Start looking for evidence, you know, because we're so addicted to our thoughts. And we believe that they're true, but mostly they're not. Mostly they're lies that were fed to us by our parents that we keep believing, or by society, and that reinstate something we already believe. Oh, I believe no women want me. Oh, there's a video about that. So yes, confirmation bias. I'm telling you, it's a lie. Check out Healthy Gamer and let me know what you think about this video.